Hey, ladies, welcome to The Power of the Ask, the podcast where we ditch the waiting and embrace the asking for what we truly deserve.
Welcome to The Power of the Ask.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Power of the Ask podcast, which helps you get what you need financially and personally. We are so glad that you're here today. My name is Lisa Zeiderman. I am managing partner at Miller Zeiderman, and I'm one of the co-hosts with my dear friend, Precious Williams. Hi, Precious. Take it away.
Hey, Queen Lisa, right back at you. I'm Precious Williams, the killer pitch master and the proud founder and CEO of the Perfect Pitch Group. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. This week, we're excited to introduce you to Ivette Rivera. Now, before our guest tells us about themselves and their histories, I'm going to give you a little background on this queen. Ivette Rivera is a proud Afro-Latina Nuyorican from Camden, New Jersey, who rebuilt her life from homelessness to founding Harley, a trauma-informed Fintech platform helping women escape financial abuse and building wealth. With support from savvy ladies, she pivoted from concentrated Tesla stock to a more secure future, turning hardship into momentum. She later founded Louisa Foods and Bodega Flavor, funded by the sale of hiphop50.com to Nas. I know y'all know who that is. A domain she bought while rebuilding after a toxic marriage. From living in her car to launching businesses from an Airbnb, Yvette's journey is fueled by resilience, faith, and bold asks. Now building Harley and studying cybersecurity, catch that T. She's on a mission to protect women financially and digitally, proving no setback is permanent with courage and smart money moves. We're so excited to have you with us today, Queen Ivette. To kick things off, why don't you share a little something for our audience that they wouldn't find in your bio or LinkedIn profile?
I guess the primary thing would be is when in my early 20s, I was one of the youngest radio morning show producers in a major radio market in Philadelphia. So a lot of people don't pick up radio from me when they see me. And then once they get to know me and they're like, wait a minute, you used to be in radio, and that opens up a whole other conversation. But yeah, that's one of the things that you wouldn't pick up immediately just by speaking to me.
Love it.
So there's this really powerful line in your narrative and in your story that you actually went from homelessness to Harley. Can you take us back to that time period? I know that might be difficult, to that turning point. What did the rebuilding from rock bottom actually look like? And what was the very first ask? Now, this is powerful. What was that very first ask that you made that started your comeback? Tell us that. And also tell us a little bit about Harley. What is Harley?
Okay. In regards to Harley, the full company or endeavor is Harley's Women's Finance. Harley's Women's Finance is an all-in-one platform to service the needs, specifically, I call it female fintech, because a lot of what's surrounding finance is designed by and catered to men. We have specific needs as women, whether we're single or raising families that aren't being considered or not being met in a traditional space. And some of the female fintech platforms that are available, which is a good start, is unfortunately available to the 1%. And I'm trying to open things up to the 99%. Some of us are trying to figure out how to get from 5 figures to 6 figures. So there is a need there for financial education across just about all demographics, but that's where the focus is with Harley. In creating Harley, as I said, it's going to be an all-in-one platform where it's going to be high yield savings and checking accounts. There's going to be a banking component to it. In regards to investing, looking to put together robo-investing advice. There's going to be a Diamond Squad, which would be similar to Kickstarter, but it's going to be women supporting women and their businesses, giving them another opportunity to look for investors and seed money outside of the traditional VC spaces, because we have a hard enough time as it is as women getting those VC dollars. We need to start creating those spaces for ourselves and opening up those doors for each other. In addition to that, there is a financial education component, which I'm looking to integrate with the Meta platform, where through gamified financial education, women can learn things from just your basic finance 101 all the way through to crypto, which is necessary for us to learn at this age, as far as 21st century. And then there is the app itself, which is a behavior trained AI app where it is a financial coach, but it has been trained to recognize financial decisions based on trauma responses, such as if there's a dip in the market. Some people would immediately look to pull everything out instead of writing it out. So right now, I'm still training the app to be educated on that and be able to pause an investor and be like, hey, let me explain to you what's currently happening in the market, in opposed to you have an emergency and you're looking to sell off stock to address that emergency. So it really is a broad endeavor, but I think I'm a disruptor by nature. And I really think the space needs to be disrupted. And I really think that these are tools that we need, not only for our current state, but for future generations of females in order to empower themselves and take their power back financially.
Okay, so now I still need that one question. That one question. What was the ask? What was that first ask that essentially started your comeback?
That first ask was, who was I? Because I the life that I've lived up until that point was built on trauma and responding to trauma. So the person that I had became was built off of other people's needs. So as their needs were met and they discard, that started having an impact on me mentally and emotionally, and plus being in a relationship that was, I will term it as toxic. I wasn't in the best headspace, and I saw myself deteriorating, and I had I held on until my youngest graduated from high school, and then I had to turn the light onto myself and ask myself, who was I? What did I want? And did I believe I was living the life that God meant for me to live? And I immediately knew that it wasn't. And unfortunately, because of being in a space where I wasn't able to save money discreetly, or that trying to do this in tandem was not going to be amicable, the only option for me was to just leave and start over, and I had to leave with nothing. I ended up losing. I ended up getting evicted, which ended up with me being homeless. Within a month, I had zero savings, and I really was couch surfing on my kids with my kids until I was able to pull it back together. After almost being married for 30 years, I walked away with nothing except my name and my intellectual property. And God was like, "That's enough. That's what I gave you, and with that, you're going to rebuild your life." So that ask was, who was I? And the person I was not the person that I knew God designed me to be.
I'm just going to say it's the Tina Turner story in some ways, right? It's the Tina Turner story. You get everything, I get my name.
That's it. And it was that, and I'm a huge Tina fan, that when I found myself in that situation and knowing that she did it, that was empowering to me, because I was like, not only does my faith tell me that I can do it, I mean, Tina did it, and for her to go through that, and, as famous as she was, and to walk away with nothing and have to start over, That was she stepped out on faith, and I had to step out on that same type of faith because it wasn't. She and I both knew staying in that situation it was not going to end well. It's not a healthy situation at all, and um, I was scared to walk away and start over with nothing. And but the greater fear was, where was I going to be if I stayed? You know, so I'm so much better off now. So
Queen Yvette, I just want to hold space for a few moments. That was incredible what you just shared with us. And as a formerly homeless woman myself, not that long ago, I've often found that women will talk about their successes and, what came after, but not want to talk about that chapter of their story. So I just want to hold space because there are women. We have queens listening who may find themselves or who are in this situation. And they need to know that they can make it and that it does take time, but you have to choose you. Just like Tina, I take my name and that's all I need as I go out this door. So I want to hold space. You once lived in your car and you bought with money from a domain sale. Mm-hmm. And that car took you to Tesla.
yeah,
How did listen, clock that T. How did your experience there shape your views on equity, ownership, and what does financial freedom really look like?
um, ending up at Tesla was just that was wild. That was not on my radar at all. That was where God led me, which was, going from being homeless and leaving this marriage and not having anything to within 3 years working for Tesla. And I had been out of work for 5 years at that point. I was not in the workforce at all. So God did, he had me in his hands. But to be working for Tesla and being in my first position in which I was offered equity that was like beyond my comprehension because I never had a role like that, and I didn't know what to do with it. Basically, when I did the domain sale and I got that from Nas, that money I just sat on because again I've never had that much money before, and it was like, you know you put it in a cashier's check and you hide it. You don't want anything to happen to it because of the market. And, it's so being at Tesla and then coming into the space and then trying to learn about equity and stock purchasing plans and all these financial components now that became a part of my life was very scary. And it was by the grace of God, I started Googling and I found Savvy Ladies. And I was like, okay, is this it? It sounded too good to be true, but I reached out and immediately I was welcomed. And it was like, yes, we can set you up with a financial advisor. Um, you can have a financial advisor at no cost. And I was like, this is beyond comprehension to me. But I accepted that help, and in going over what I was doing, they helped me show all the things I was doing wrong and why. And that intervention came early enough that when the changes came through at Tesla and the mass layoffs happened, and I was a part of that mass layoff, I was a little bit more financially secure than other individuals were because of the advice that I received from Savvy Ladies. And I didn't keep everything in Tesla, which was what a lot of people were doing. They did the employee stock purchasing program. They were keeping their equity. I was guided not to do that, to diversify. And it was because of that advice that I received from Savvy Ladies that gave me the nest egg that I needed in order to pour into starting Harley Women's Finance. So you guys are very much a part of my success story. Even to this day, the advice that you provided to me is still allowing me to run both of my businesses, Luisa Foods Bodega Flavor and Harley Women's Finance. So you guys are very, very much a part of that blessing that I received and my success story because without your education and guidance and knowledge, um, I would have made some terrible decisions, financial decisions, and would have lost all of the momentum and the blessings I received at that point. So I thank you, ladies, for offering this service because it is something that's critical, and that's another reason why I'm empowered to proceed with building out Harley because I see that that is a need that's currently needed, and um, I am looking to Harley's looking to partner with Savvy Ladies in regards to offer advice as well and financial coaching. So that's in discussions as well. Only because I would love to be a partner in promoting your services because of how it turned my life around and basically saved me once those layoffs came through.
You were in a very unique situation that
Mhm.
I think it's unique in a particular way, which is that you worked for Tesla and then you invested probably you were invested in mostly all of your investments were Tesla.
Yes.
And right. And so you weren't diversified. Not only were you not diversified in terms of your stock portfolio, but you weren't diversified because your job and your stock portfolio were tied into the same exact company, right? And that's a mistake that many people make. And so I have to say that you get a lot of credit for working this and understanding that you can't necessarily have both your job and your stock be the identical product or the identical avenue for investment because one goes very often the other does, and I think that's a mistake for people. We're so proud that you credit Savvy Ladies for helping you pivot from basically what was not only an overconcentrated stock position, but was an overconcentrated stock position plus a job that was in the same company that you had the overconcentrated stock position.
Mm-hmm.
How did that moment redefine your relationship with risk? And how did it plant the seeds for Harley?
Um, it made me realize that no matter how great of a company that you're with, you cannot, first and foremost, your identity cannot be defined by the company that you're working for. You're still an individual. And secondly, um, you still have to be responsible for your financial future. So you shouldn't feel guilty about diversifying your money and being like, hey, you know what? I appreciate you giving me this equity or this, but I'm going to sell it and I'm going to go spread it over here and a little bit over here and a little bit over here. Because in the end, you have to do what's best for you because that's what they're doing in the boardroom. When they have those shareholder meetings and they're talking about, how well they did first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, they're not looking at you at your desk. They're going to do what's best. And for them doing what's best, it results sometimes in layoffs. So you have to be smart with your money. Do not over concentrate it, spread it out. Uh, Use the financial advisor through Savvy Ladies and get that education that you need that's specific to your situation. But one of the things in regards to answer your question about risk is I used to be risk avoidant. I love it now. I find successes now in taking risks. A lot of of my perceived failures in my life have come from fear. It came because I didn't take a risk. I lost an opportunity or, I lost out on something. And I've learned that there's nothing to be afraid of in regards to no. no is sometimes a pivot, because now you get to switch things around and ask why. So sometimes a no is better because that opens the conversation to find out the nature of that no, and you can turn that into a yes. So I've learned a lot in regards to, um, again, assuming that risk is a part of life, making responsible decisions in regards to risk, and knowing that risk does lead to reward if you're smart about it.
I've often heard only those who risk something achieve something. So I'm with you, Queen. Ladies, are you ready to take control of your future? Do you dream of financial stability, freedom, and a life that truly deserves you?
For over 20 years, Savvy Ladies has empowered women from all walks of life to make smart financial choices, achieve our goals, and build a brighter future.
We built Savvy Ladies as a community of women supporting women. We offer free financial educational programs, a trusted helpline, and guidance and advice from America's top financial professionals.
You can access the financial helpline at savvyladies.org or where you get your apps under Savvy Ladies. Savvy Ladies equips you with the knowledge, confidence, and support you need to thrive. So don't wait. Join Savvy Ladies today and start building your financial confidence and well-being now.
You turned a dream, a domain name, and a deal with Nas into a business that honors your heritage. How many people can say that? What does cultural entrepreneurship mean to you? And how does it tie into your mission of financial empowerment?
Cultural entrepreneurship is that's part of our DNA.
Mhm.
Especially in my culture. I'm Puerto Rican, Nuyorican because I was born here in the States. But I mean, even if you're descendants of anywhere in the Caribbean, or you know what, I can walk that back. Just in general, cultural entrepreneurship is how we got here. If you trace it way back, so it is part of your DNA, and that's where the seed starts in regards to starting your own business. Um, for me, specifically tying it into something directly related into my culture, it's again it's part of my healing process, and reinforcing the fact that who I am and my identity deserves space in this world, and I want to promote that as because I've 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 seen a lot of how do you say struggle in regards to within the Latino community, just getting into spaces because there's preconceived notions about us. So just like with Harley, the focus is on women, specifically with Latin Loisa Foods and Bodega Flavor Latin seasonings. That is strictly it is a Latin brand, but it's for everyone. But I have to brand it with an identity that doesn't because we need representation. We need representation in all spaces. In regards to how it ties into my mission of financial empowerment, um, again, we need those success stories. Right now, there are several um, people of color who's struggling with their businesses now due to the turnaround on the DEI initiatives, losing shelf space in Target and other. I'm sorry, I'm calling people out. I'm starting to call out stores. Okay, losing shelf space in retail spaces where um, they shouldn't have lost that space in the first place because there's a demand for their product and they are quality products. So the only thing that's different between their product and another product is the fact that the business is owned by a person of color. So we need to create those spaces for us to continue creating these businesses representing our culture, and create spaces where we can buy from each other if we have to, because um, the doors are closing, so we have to open new doors.
Digital safety and women. Now, you're building Harley as a trauma informed fintech platform, and you're also studying cybersecurity. Why is it so important for financial empowerment to be paired, particularly now in this day and age, with digital safety? And why is that so important, particularly for women?
Um, for some reason, when it comes to tech and cybersecurity, it has this masculine identity to it when it really is a tool, such as it's an everyday thing, as electricity, but it has this male, this masculine identity to it because it's a male dominated industry. Working at Tesla, and I used to uh, actually, I was the first female EV technician working on the semi trucks for Tesla. That's what I was doing over at Tesla. So, uh, being in a male dominated industry, the identity is automatically going to be male. Uh, Cybersecurity and computers have that same energy, that it's male, but um, it really is something that women need to embrace and take responsibility for, because we're at risk for so many online scams, and we're targeted more so than men. And what they're after is, again, our money. That's what it boils down to. Whether it's a romance scam or social engineering, they're trying to get to our bank accounts, and we are working just as hard as our male counterparts and getting paid less at it, that to not be educated in how to protect ourselves and our accounts online, especially with everything converting into digital, that it has to be part of your it has to be part of your lifestyle. So digital safety is mandatory at this time. I personally feel that that's something that they should start teaching in school, just as part of they used to do home ec back in the days. You need to teach financial security, digital safety, um, as part of the curriculum, because it is such a part of our day-to-day lives, and it's not something that needs to be reverted to that one person in the household that likes to play around with computers. I think it's something, it's not difficult, everybody can pick it up, but we have a responsibility, because especially us as women, because we're the targets online. 9 times out of 10 it's us. They're not going after the men, they're targeting us women. So
I have to say, Precious, before you jump in, I have to say that I love the idea of teaching this, and maybe it's in addition to home ec, although I will confess that I practically failed home ec. So, so that was like the most dear to my heart. I am going to say that I had this teacher who used to give out these goose eggs. And one day I got like 5 goose eggs because my mom was a working mom. And I came home with this whole list of things that I had to get. And my mother said something like, I'm not getting all those things today. I work for a living, and you can tell your teacher that this isn't my assignment. And I went into class and I was ready to be failed from home ec. And my mother had to go up to the school and deal with that issue. So very near and dear to my heart, that story.
It's near and dear to my heart. And I agree with you, Queen Lisa and Queen Yvette. I do think it should be taught in schools, especially our young people. They don't really see the dangers.
no.
And by the time it becomes too late for us to be able to help, because the money's gone, their privacy is gone, and everything like that. And you're putting everyone in the home community at risk. So brilliant, Queen Yvette. So, so Queen Yvette, you've asked for help for funding, for second chances, and each one of your asks has changed your life. What advice do you have for someone who's afraid to even ask, or who feels like their story is a little too messy to rewrite today?
Um, there's not there's nothing there's no such thing as too late. There's no such thing as too far gone. There's definitely nothing such as too messy. The universe was created out of chaos. Out of chaos comes order. That if you have things in order, then there's nothing for you to do except to follow, be linear. Um, from no matter how messy you feel things are, there's always a way for you to redesign things in order to live the life that you want. And I know that, there's probably, moms raising children. And of course, because I raised three kids, your mind is on, well, I can't put the focus on me because, I have to provide for my children. And that's respectable. I can understand that. But it doesn't mean that you can't start making the changes, little changes now, so that planting those little seeds so that by the time you feel that your children are secure enough to handle you making a major move, that it says as less impactful as possible to them, because you deserve a life as well. We've been taught that, as women, that we're always in support roles. Our role is to give and to pour, and we don't have anyone giving or pouring into us. And what happens is the reality of it is you can burn out. You can burn out psychologically. And it doesn't matter whether or not you love those people that you're pouring into. If no one's pouring into you, you're going to burn out. So you have to pour into yourself. We've been taught that that looks selfish as well. And it was a long time until I've learned that that's not being selfish. That's re-energizing yourself. You are no good to anybody if you're not healthy. And I allowed myself to burn out to the point where I felt like I was non-existent. Uh, you can't let yourself get to that point. So um, do it messy. I did. I mean, if I want to say 7 years ago, when I first did this pivot, I was without working for 5 years. I was considered unemployable, and this was after having a career in radio and within other industries. Um, I was diagnosed as a having severe depression, severe social anxiety. I never left the house. I was a completely different person than who I am today. But a lot of that was because having a traumatic upbringing, then having traumatic relationships, and then on top of that, because you don't know what healthy and normal is, you just give, 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 give because you think that's going to return to you in some way, and you end up burning yourself out. Giving people who don't deserve second chances to burn you out. If you're asking yourself if you should start over, then that's your sign to start over. There's something within your life that you're not happy with, and as long as the changes that you're making are positive and they're good and they're not hurting anyone, then take that chance. Do it messy. Nothing ever is going to be perfect, but like I said, there's beauty in chaos as long as it's positive energy and it's love. Um, do it messy. Said I do it. I do it every day.
So, Yvette, we ask a question from all our guests, and we're going to ask you this question. Why is the power of the ask crucial to women, especially financially?
Because we've been conditioned for centuries to keep our mouth shut. We get what we get when it's given to us, and for us to be grateful for what is given to us. And that comes from within a patriarchal framework, where once upon a time, the world was very female centric. Um, it's important for you to ask, because you have to start taking that power back. If we each start doing that individually, then it becomes it grows beyond a community. It grows into a coalition, and we normalize that, so that, even your grandmothers or your great grandmothers, they see you stepping out in that power and in that faith and in that fear. And even at their age, 80, 90, it may empower them to make changes in their life, even at that age, because they see you doing it, and they know that they grew up at a time where they couldn't even have a bank account. So women started being able to have bank accounts when I was a kid. This was not that long ago. So, it's important to take that risk and ask, ask it of yourself, ask it of others. You've earned that right. And if anyone makes you feel otherwise, you have to question their position in your life, because anyone who is positive in your life is going to support you and uplift you and pour into you. If someone's questioning, well, why are you doing that? Or, you're being a little bit too much. They're projecting their negativity onto you. And at a time that you're trying to pivot and trying to make sense out of chaos in your life and turn things around, that is not an individual that you need on your team.
I agree. Precious, I'm going to turn it over to you to say goodbye to all. And first of all, I want to thank Yvette, because Yvette, that was an amazing, amazing discussion. And I think so inspirational. And I can't wait to share this on all of the social media. I really, you were amazing. And thank you so much. Precious.
Listen, I agree. I concur. Queen Yvette, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the precious gems that you dropped today. And I really, really appreciate that it wasn't this trauma bonding. It was, listen, there is life after, but you have to acknowledge it. Your question, your first as is, who am I beyond what society and the world says? And so, as I say to all of you who are watching the Savvy Ladies Power of the Ass podcast, keep coming back, keep coming back, keep coming back. Tell a friend to tell a friend to what? Tell a friend, subscribe, because we bring you great guests like Queen Yvette, who turned what could have been a tragedy into triumph, who held on to something and then a celebrity brought the domain. What did she do? She was hired by Tesla. She had these, she changed her investments from being like overly subscribed in this area to diversifying because she reached out to savvy ladies. Think about that. Think about that. Sometimes you have unexpected detours, which lead to unexpected blessings. And so each podcast, we're bringing you dynamic guests who are going to explore their lives and opportunities we never thought possible, because we want you to be financially empowered. So the Power of the Ass podcast, co-hosted by my queen, Lisa, and me. We're so delighted. Keep coming back. It gets better and better. Subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend to what? Tell a friend, and share. Thank you.
Thanks, Yvette.
Thank you, Precious, and thank you, Lisa, for inviting me. This was amazing. I love connecting with you two queens. I just believe together we can help so many people. So and your podcast is amazing, and it certainly is impacting a lot of people. So I applaud the both of you, and keep doing it, because you don't know how many lives you touch, and the people who are left better after hearing your podcast. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of The Power of the Ass Ladies.
Don't forget to like, review, and subscribe to spread the love with #PowerOfTheAss.